Hey, Shopcat. How you doing? Working on the SAAB with me? I'll bet. Well, it's been a long time since I've done any sort of updates on this thing. Actually, it was probably around Christmas time the last time I've done any of the updates. And since then, so much stuff has gone on in this, so I was just thought I would recap sort of what's gone on during the winter. Since we're getting close to spring, so we're starting to wrap stuff up because I do want to drive this in the next season. So I'm not going to constantly have the car under project mode. I kind of want to do a bunch of stuff and then drive it and then bring it in for the winter, do more stuff and then drive it again. That way I kind of have the motivation to continue because these projects can go on and on and on, as we know. So at least if you drive it, you have the motivation to bring it back and make it better for next year. So on the last update, we did sort of turbo stuff, catch can stuff. So I thought I'd just give you a sort of rundown, sort of where everything is at this point. We can see the new induction system is all together and works good. Oh, by the way, I have driven this with all the new turbo and exhaust and catch can. I've driven it since then and then drove it back in and then did a bunch of other stuff. So all this engine-based stuff that I was doing in the previous videos worked out great. Car runs fast. It's awesome. We'll do some videos about that later. But nevertheless, we've got the induction system all hooked up and ready. You can see the turbo bypass valve and the giant 3-inch pipe. Still using the stock 2 3/4-inch airflow meter. We'll figure that out on a later date. Coming around to this side, actually there's a whole whack of wiring that I did, but we'll go over that in a minute. But it's all mostly together now, so it's hard to see anything that I've even done. So going over to this side, well, look at my wiring. Going over this side, we can see the turbo is all wrapped up and done. I've got the turbo blanket on there and the downpipe is all wrapped, so you can't really see what I've done. Let's just, it looks beautiful. It stinks, but that's how these are when they're new. So that obviously is all done and worked out. We can see there's no wiring harness on the engine right now, because that was one of my biggest gripes about this. The original wiring harness on here looked really, really terrible, and I hated it. So that was one of the things I was trying to maybe get to this year. So I decided to just, after the test drive, just bring it back in and quickly do that. One of the reasons that bugged me is because I have this cool fuel rail cover. And with the harness the way it was, there was no way this thing was fitting. So anyway, that kind of just goes like that. I ran it before on my old engine, and I kind of wanted to run it now since it keeps things tidy. So we're gonna go over to the workbench now and see what I've done there. You can see, I think in the previous videos you saw I had the big power cable coming up from the big grommet in the firewall, and it kind of mounted here with the big terminal block, which I can't really locate at this exact moment. But yeah, so I've since then ran it through the grommet in here, which required, of course, removal of the dash. We'll go over that in a minute. And you can see the power now is kind of in here. So there's actually 2 holes that were pre-drilled from the factory. So I'm actually gonna mount the battery terminal back in that spot. So going over to the bench, we can see my brand new fuel injection harness. I decided to just fillet the whole damn thing and start from scratch. It wasn't really too much work. More annoying work than anything. So obviously I used this OE type sheathing on everything so that it keeps it nice and tidy. We can see I've terminated all new timer connections, new boots on everything, so that's all good there. New fuel injector boots, coolant temperature sensor, brand new boots and brand new connectors, and new ring terminals for the grounds, throttle position, MAF, brand new pins, brand new boots, brand new everything. So everything's new and it's nice and tidy. The original harness was actually a freaking mess. So I'll leave all that in one big go so that I don't have to deal with it later. Going into the interior, and let me get a flashlight so we can see what's going on here. Moving to the interior, this is sort of it all backed mostly together. At one stage, I did have the whole dash completely off because I had to do a whole whack of wiring behind the dash, as well as it's really, you can see I've got the where the battery cable goes up to that grommet there was impossible to get without the dash in. So we took a whole bunch of stuff there. I had to do a whack of wiring in here because I wanted to add a whole bunch of stuff later. So I figured if the dash was coming out one time, I might as well add the wires. So you can see I've added a couple wires on the central locking, and that's so that I can add remote locks to the doors, because I don't like wearing out the keys. So that was one modification that I had to do, is run a couple wires for the door solenoid on the driver's door so that could work. So that was all done. Additionally, let's just move this carpet. Additionally, we can see I've moved the radio down here. The original spot up here is where I wanted to put my my custom gauges that you saw in the previous video. I want them to be in here right up there. So the radio then moved down. The stock CD player didn't really work very well anyway, so we got rid of that, made an adapter harness and got rid of it. So, of course, like I said, the gauges are going in here. Let me just put my headlamp on. That's better. So the gauges are going in here. So you can see I've got a brand new gauge harness right here, aux gauges. So the auxiliary gauges will plug into there. The auxiliary gauges were wired into the stock harness, so they're obviously the big wiring harness that goes behind the dash. I integrated the gauges and all the sort of accessory stuff. There's again a few accessories that I added while I was at it. I added that all to the stock harness, which then of course terminates into the fuse box. Hard to see now because everything's in. So all that terminates into a giant block connector. So there were some spare pins which I used to basically integrate these accessories into the stock fuse box so that I don't have wires going through everywhere, because that just drives me crazy. Next modification, obviously brand new MOMO steering wheel, stock SAAB. It's a SAAB MOMO steering wheel, Eric Carlsson steering wheel. That necessitated removing the entire airbag system because this is a non-airbag wheel, which of course caused me to have to change the entire steering column and steering shaft. So that was all done. I additionally rebuilt the indicator stock, brand new indicator housing. You can see the company that sold me that housing, a little bit of it there. So I rebuilt the entire stock, so it's brand new. While I was at it, I added it's hard to see here, but I added an knock light into the instrument cluster so that I could have a knock light somewhere where it was easy to read. Additionally, I hooked up a couple of the spare lamps inside the cluster that weren't used for the SRS, for the airbags, since it wasn't used anymore. I connected that to the direct ignition computer for its check engine light, so that way I could read the codes off that if I need to. Apart from that, I put some new speakers in the front. Ran obviously the harness, since the harness for the speakers used to come on here, I ran that, integrated it down into here, so all the stereo stuff lives down here. Everything is all brand new. You can see I got brand new speaker wire pinned into the original stock connectors. So it's really nice having a ratcheting gripper. You can literally just build any connector you want. It's super handy. For those who really like their wiring super clean, it's a cool thing to have. Oh, there's the whole battery terminal. Yeah, so that's going to go back in. You can see my giant orders of DigiKey pins for all this stuff. So I've gone through tons and tons and tons of pins. Obviously there's wiring diagrams and stuff everywhere. So we're just starting to clean up. You can see, put this idle control over there. We can see obviously I've got the direct ignition wired to a separate fuse. Everything's pinned into the fuse box, as well as any of the accessory relays have all been added using like the proper pins into the fuse box, so everything sort of lives in one spot. So yeah, at this stage we're sort of buttoning it up. I kind of want to get rid of these connectors, like these old Volvo style connectors, I kind of want to get rid of them because they kind of suck. So I was thinking about maybe doing like one of those latching Deutsch style connectors. We'll see. We'll see what I come up with for that. This is all the crap for the door, like the mirrors and the locks and everything. So we'll figure that out either maybe this round or maybe on the next round. Additionally, you can see that the catch can is mounted and all plumbed in. Obviously, you can see this is just disconnected because of the harness, but yeah, that goes to the valve cover there. And then the outlet of the catch can goes onto the plenum and attaches to my air intake, sort of how the stock stuff would be. You can see right there. So yeah, we're well on our way to having a pretty sweet ride for the next season. I'm gonna need to get some new tires, so that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for me. New tires are gonna be like probably $1,200 or something, so that's gonna sort of end the money spending for this thing for this season. And we're gonna drive it, and then we're gonna see how it is, and then bring it back in next fall for more fun, probably more centered on this sort of stuff next year. So anyways, thought I'd give you an update. Oh, I completely forgot. I used to have this adapter harness for the cruise control. So I did actually fix the stock cruise control while I was at this. I completely took the cruise control board, desoldered the entire thing, put all new components on it, and fixed it. So yeah, in addition to that, I put a brand new cruise control unit that I fixed in there too. So that works. So yeah, that's about it. Just been a lot of projects this winter. But we're sort of on the tail end of it now, and we'll get back. We'll do another update video maybe when I'm driving it. We'll do some more performance runs and stuff to see how it is, and apart from that, we're just going to continue on getting all this crap reinstalled back where it belongs. Anyways, later.